Hey everybody, it's Kitiana with Loving Me Empowerment. I just want to take a quick moment and share something with you that happened for me recently. So yesterday I was picking my 1-year-old up from daycare. He goes to a home daycare, and there was a little boy down the street, and he was struggling to get on his bike, and he was kind of waving me down, but he was all the while struggling to get on his bike. And I was, kind of confused. Like, why is this little boy trying to get my attention? But being a mom, I was like, well, let me wait just in case, there was something that happened, an emergency or something like that. So I waited for him to finally get on his bike. He was about 5 houses down. He pedals his way down to me, and he's got like a rolled up piece of paper in his hand. It didn't look exactly like this, but something similar. He's got this rolled up piece of paper in his hand. I roll down my window kind of cautiously, and he says to me, do you have children? And I was like, yes, I have children. He said, well, I've got this, and it's going to be a lot of fun for your children, and it only costs $1. And I looked at what he had, and it looked like it was just a rolled up piece of white paper that had been made into a funnel. But while I questioned the value and, how my children would enjoy whatever his little piece of paper was that he created, his desire to sell to me really made some changes in my mind. It made me think about a couple things. I didn't end up buying anything from him because I didn't have any cash on me, but there are a couple of things that came to mind that I thought about just by replaying that exchange with him in my mind. And the first thing was to know what you want. And I kind of relate his situation with his business to what we need to do as far as our dreams and our goals and our desires for ourselves. So the first one, like I said, is know what you want. He knew that he wanted me as his client. He saw me. He knew that I fit with his goal because I had a child, and he assumed I had children, and that I was his target audience. So he knew what he wanted, which was to sell his product. And then he went after what he wanted, even though it took him a little while to get to me. He was struggling. You remember how it was when you get ready to ride your bike, especially when you're excited to ride your bike, you get your foot up on that pedal, and you try to get started, and you keep missing it. He was a chunky little guy, so it kind of made it even cuter. But he knew what he wanted, and he was willing to wave after me, excuse me, until I stopped, till he could get to that moment. So that's the first thing, is to know what you want. The second thing was to be determined. Like I said, he saw me, and he was going to do whatever he could to make sure that I did not drive off, and instead I stopped and gave him my time for him to try to pitch his product to me. So know what you want, and then be determined to go after what you want. And then that third thing is to stand behind your dream. To me, that looked like a little piece of paper. It looked like a little funnel that was made out of some paper that comes out the printer. And I had no idea why my children would even have a desire remotely to play with that. My 1-year-old will probably take it so he could tear it up. My 7-year-old will probably question its functionality. And maybe perhaps I should have asked him exactly what it was and how my children would play with it. But despite what it looked like to me, he was confident in what he had to give. He was confident in his product, and that made all the difference. And I was actually willing to spend that dollar had I had it on me, just to, one, support his dream, and two, because of the fact he was confident in what he had. So I say all that to say, if you've got a dream inside of you and you aren't quite sure what to do with it, if you do not already have this book, Baby Steps to Dreaming Big, 20 Steps to Making Your Dream a Reality, this is a workbook that you need to get. It's on my website. It's only $15.97. You can't beat that. You'll spend that going to McDonald's just for you and your family this afternoon or this evening or whatever the case may be. But this book really takes the time to walk you through the steps of figuring out what it is that you want for yourself, removing all your gunk and your junk of your past so that you can actually prepare yourself to walk into your future. So I'm telling you, take it from that little boy who was struggling to get on his bike just to show me his rolled up piece of paper that he wanted me to buy. He stood behind his dream. He was focused and targeted like a bullet point. He was targeted and focused to make sure that I purchased what it was. He stood behind his dream. Let's take the moment, go ahead and go to the website. You'll see the link at the bottom of this video. Pick up this book, and let's walk together and discover your dreams, and let's make dreams a reality.